in the Hebrew scriptures, right? It says, I place before you life and death. Choose life, right? So it's really the same kind of thing. It's like, I place before you your historical understanding of yourself that accumulated in time and your prehistoric self, right? Choose one or the other. Live from one or the other. Right? Identify with one or the other. You know, either be essential or be historical.
So either go to a teacher, spiritual teacher, or go to the university, right?
True, because the university is set on you accumulating understanding, accumulating knowledge, right? This isn't any accumulation of knowledge. You know, it's just...
Somehow you don't have to really throw it away either. You don't have to unaccumulate it, discard anything, because there's no storage mechanism. There's really nothing, there's no garage, there's no attic, there's no place to put it.
Yeah.
In other words, but sometimes we say that we have to undo some things so we can somehow allow ourselves to be there. I don't know, there must be some conditioning or something in the historic self that says, don't go there.
Right, purify, prepare, get ready, remove, drop, all this. I really, in actuality, none of that really needs to be done. No preparation, no dropping, no purification, no perfect analysis of the situation and understanding of your suffering. None of that really is not essential. Excuse me. The only thing that's essential is just the immediacy of and the availability of what you think isn't here actually is here. Right? We think it isn't here. That thought takes us into that thought takes us into the experience of the mind where we start spinning, right? And just keep spinning, right? We think it's not here. But when we don't think, it is here. We think it's not here, but when we don't think, it is here. That's why I think it was, don't think, and you are a realized being. Right? Because we think we're not, but it's only that thought that takes us spinning into this world of ideas, of concepts, of I'm almost there, or I'm not quite there, or I will be there when. All that's useless. Well, it's like you're sitting in your judgment chair. Let's say you're the judge. You're the judge and you're the juror, and you've got your gavel, and you're all set, And the teacher invites you to move from the judgment chair, right, into the chair that's maybe next to it, right? That's maybe the chair of clear seeing. Do you want to or not?
I'm saying I need to feel somehow safe in that other chair. I need to feel safe and cared for by that teacher, probably, before I'll make the move.
Yeah, maybe. And you know what? That's the unfortunate thing, because it has nothing to do with the teacher, really, right? Because what he's saying is true. Right? So to trust what he's saying is true really doesn't have anything to do with the teacher. It has to do with him just knowing something that you don't know. Even if he's not embodying it absolutely 100% of the time, he still knows something that you don't know, right? Pride, which is, I know, right, is blocking the transmission. maybe he's younger and you're older and you don't listen to people who are younger because you've got more experience and all this. But you don't have his particular experience. You might be able to teach him a lot of things about your particular experiences and your particular expertise. But you don't have the particular experience of slipping into the essential self when you want. And, if you really want to play with history and play with, who I am and how I'm developing and who I was and who I will be, you can play with all that, but you always have the essential understanding. There's no possibility of not being safe or whole when you are the essential self, because the essential self essentially doesn't change.
That must be the experience of the essential self, is safeness and wholeness. And then once you have that experience in a very strong and clear way, you know you're safe and whole.
And death doesn't...
And deathless, maybe.
Death doesn't really touch you as an essential
And so
self.
then the trigger to your historical self has been very weakened.
What's telling you that you're not complete?
My historical self is telling me that I'm not complete because somehow it had, it had a certain amount of conditioning that was unsure. It wasn't. I guess it was my historical self was looking out to see to prove my completeness, and then, where it looked, and those others that it looked to, they weren't really interested in telling me I was complete. They were more interested in telling me I was incomplete.
Right, and your completeness was dependent upon circumstances.
Circumstances and them. My parents, my teachers. I had to take those courses, or
having
I couldn't get a degree.
Having a certain amount of knowledge, a certain amount of intellectual understanding.
So my incompleteness was built into my historical self.
Yeah, they're inseparable, aren't they? The historical self is fundamentally inadequate, isn't it?
Yes, that's the seat of inadequacy.
It's the seeker.
Right.
At one stage, it was like, the awareness is the problem, that the awareness has to become more aware. But that's not true.
That's
awareness
not true.
is complete
and
total. Right, that's a misunderstanding of language. Right?
And you can go around and around with that one, and you never arrive.
Never
get any farther.
Right, because what is complete is already complete. And it's eternal. It's eternal, it's changeless, it's complete, it's whole, it's entire, whatever it is. It's the totality, whatever it is, right? So there's that. And then there's this experience of the historical perspective, the historical contribution. I like to call it a contribution because then it doesn't make it a self.
I love it.
Yeah.
The historical contribution, is that what we're calling it now?
Yeah, we'll call it the historical contribution, right? So then the historical contribution comes in and you say, no thanks.
We don't need it right now, but thanks a lot.
No thanks. We value
we
value your existence. We're not going to try to make you not exist, right? But your contribution is just not needed at the time.
Right.
Maybe later.
Come back later for sure.
Maybe later.
We'll have a little gift for you. We got some chocolates.
We got some prizes and some gifts.
Yeah, we got chocolates for later.
Yeah, because then it's like, okay, you don't have to work on awareness. Awareness is fine, leave it alone, right?
God, these are breakthroughs. These are total breakthroughs in language.
And what's changing your experience? What's affecting your experience, right? What's affecting your experience and preventing an essential encounter, right, is the historical contribution. That's what is giving your attention to that, believing in that, validating that. We miss what's right here and right now. That gets all our attention, and this gets deflated. Instead of that getting deflated, and this getting inflated.